No matter where you are today, somebody helped you to get there. In a larger sense, we got to see this in our world today. Our white brothers must see this. They haven't seen it up to now. Great problem facing our nation today in the area of race is that it is the black man who, to a large extent, produced the wealth of this nation. The nation doesn't have sense enough to share its wealth and its power with the very people who made it so. I know what I'm talking about this morning. Black man made America wealthy. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Come on. Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the Central. Good evening on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana. Your hostess with the mostest on the reparationist perspective, formerly known as Friends of ADOS TV channel, bringing you those ADOS hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for weaponizing our vote, socializing our suffering. How y'all feeling tonight, family? Happy Friday to you one and all. It's been a rough week. Your sister is tired. You hear me? It takes a lot, right? To go from a caterpillar into that butterfly. And that's all that's happening to the ADOS movement right now. We're separating the wheat from the chaff. We can see clearly now the rain is gone, right? So it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. But it's a lot. Right, family? It's a lot for me because I am love. I am light. I am power. You feel me? And so when you have been given an assignment as gargantuan as telling Pharaoh to let your people go, you got to take everything that comes with, right, family? Yeah. You got to be the Jessica to the Black Jesus. You understand? Folks like to talk about that mild meat Jesus like he was a pushover. There ain't nobody I've ever known that had skin of bronze, right? They had skin of bronze and feet of bronze, hair of wool, eyes of fire. I have never known anyone that looked like that. To be a rollover, right? To be a chump. To not go up in the space and upset the money changers. That radical Jessica. That's who I am. I am that Martin Luther King Jr., who they executed for speaking up for what the people were doing. He was coming to Washington to get that check, family. And that's what is remaining. Okay? Out of all this confusion, out of all this chair throwing, still, you'd have thought folks would have a come to Jesus, come to Black Jesus moment, right? And get their act together and stop throwing chairs. They done leaned in 10 toes down. Okay? So I'm done with that. It's comical to me because I'm telling you what's left. It's going to make you proud. What is left are the real leaders, the real founders of the ADOS movement are left. And woo, it's going to be fire, family. If you want, first of all, shout out to everybody who has sent me a flood of emails. They want to help with the Equity Advocates Back. Y'all know I need help. I've got all these gargantuan plans and ideals and not enough manpower. And y'all are coming for a Sister Tough at the Friends of ADOS TV at Gmail to let me know y'all ready to work. Well, to those of you who have written me and I've responded that I'm going to get back to you, I am just waiting for the NAASD to get everything in order. See, we're not going to do stuff like we was doing before. No, we need order, okay? We need order. So I'm just waiting to get my marching orders that I can fold you guys in to a chapter with me. We locking arms all over the country. And we building chapters again all over the country, all right? So I'm just waiting to get the green light when I can fold you guys in. There was a quorum. We decided to defect from the ADOS HQ by a quorum. So I am free. Yeah, I'm free as a jaybird over here. And I am just grateful to God to be free to work with grassroots to fulfill the vision I've got for us working in unity. United we stand, divided we fall. I'm not about, making some distinction because I don't know. I'm just over here pushing and doing my part like everybody else throughout the country. So be proud of what remains. Be proud to get involved now because it's going to be democratic. It's going to be unified. It's going to be everything you envision a fight for reparations should look like, over fighting each other, right? So I'm excited to have you here tonight, family. Y'all know y'all the wind beneath my wings, right? Yes, you are. I want to, first of all, before I dig into my topic, I'm going to try to finish this one tonight, y'all, because Lord knows it's just been going way too long. But it's a lot to say on this topic, right? About having integrated into a burning building. Migrated ourselves into a burning building. You see, we're loving people. We're loving people at our own peril. Follow what I'm saying? Let me shout out my loves in the chat. And for those of you who have yet to tell me who you are, I welcome you to the live. I love you black and strong. Lions Den, a.k.a. Trey X. What's up, fam? Thank you for joining the live. Bird James, Justin Mathis, ADOS New Jersey, Gabrielle Holloway, my girl Astrid out of the ATL. Oh, Miss Powell, I see you, my love. Thank you for joining the live. Miss Lady Kayla, Pretty Muslima, God bless you, sister. Who else is in here this stuff? Debonair One, Reggie Styles. Yes, we are loving, God-filled people. We see the God in everyone, but Pretty Muslima, we are on the bottom as the anchor because we have put everyone else above us. You understand? And it is time for us to get back to us. You understand? So that is what this show is designed to do. It is designed to help you be about you and your people and your children whose wealth has been stolen. We are here over on this channel to talk about how we got here, to give you a solid resolve to get in this fight with us So every time I come on this platform, I'm here to sell you on why you should be for you, why you should push everybody else off the tent and focus on the needs of the American descendant of chattel slaveries. Okay? That is where your focus should be. Stop running around crying a river. How do you even have tears left to be crying for all these other groups? The way the government is pandering to all these other groups. How do you have tears left? If you crying over everybody and everything, who's crying for you? Who's crying for your children? Huh? Let's jump right on into it. Let's jump right on into it. I want to go over here. I'm going to try not to be jumping back and forth. It slows me down. But I will be reading from certain articles that I pulled up so you can understand why your tears need to be for your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your nieces and nephews. That's how your tears should flow. That's who they should flow for. And it doesn't make you a xenophobe to stand up proudly for the American descendant of chattel slavery. We got a lot going on. We need all of your energy on your people. Now, if you expending it all over the place, where's the energy to properly fight for your own? That's what I love about my comrades throughout the country. We understand who the priority is. And in everything you see, they're trying to not make you a priority. Okay? I mean, I've yet to see Biden put out anything exclusively for us, except this here. Biden orders the Justice Department to end the use of private prisons. Okay, but let me share with you what's wrong with that. Now, I'm reading from some of the brilliant comments in my Facebook space when I share certain articles. I'm not saying people's names because some people don't want their names to be known, and I don't have time to clear everything I quote. So I won't say the name, but this particular gentleman helped me to get a real perspective on how empty this thing really is. When Biden orders the Justice Department to end the use of private prisons, you think this is a big deal, right? I thought, oh, wow, this is the direction I wanted us to go in. Let's dismantle the private prisons. Yes, because as long as you know you can privatize slavery, they're going to continue to put cases and rap sheets on our brothers and sisters and our children. They're going to continue to rob the resources from the Black public schools to put them in the white public schools for your children, our children, to be set up for the preschool to prison pipeline. Okay, so I'm thinking, this has been what I've been waiting for, dismantling the private prisons, because the feds are currently paying like $20,000 or more. I've heard as high as $40,000 a bed to, arrest our people for simply being Black. Okay, in distressed communities that are distressed because of the design of institutional systemic racism. We didn't just one day wake up and decide to murder each other or to rob for one another. You are looking at a people who've been robbed on every front, on education, housing, jobs, and businesses, and healthcare. So when you see folks killing each other, and then you sit back scratching your head as if you didn't play a role in it, you got the wrong ones over here in the movement. You hear me? You got the wrong ones in the grassroots because we see you. Okay? In order for the American descendant of chattel slavery to thrive, we must bury identity and respectability politics. Because that is all they're giving us is tokenism. Why in the world, for example, would you have Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill with Andrew Jackson on the back? Now, I'm not going to do a whole show about it, but that's symbolism, right? Even this order here is just symbolic because there's 41 million of us. What about the other 40 million who ain't in prison? Not that we don't need real reform, but at this first glance, you read the headline, Biden orders the Justice Department to end the use of private prisons, and you think, oh my God, I have been saying on every show, dismantle the private prisons and do away with qualified immunity. So you would think you're winning. Then you get a brilliant, beautiful Adocs mind that chats you and tells you, Queen, for the record, only approximately 8% of America's prisons are so-called private prisons. But the entire prison industrial complex is privatized and engaged in slave labor in government/private cooperatives. So what Biden is suggesting is only remedying 8% of the problem. You see, the trick bag they put you in, thinking they doing something for you. Okay, he's done something. Oh, the transgenders can now race and compete in track and field. I don't know if it's any other sport, but the transgenders can now compete with Black girls and women in track. They're still boys. And I beg the question, how does hooking up transgenders in your health department? Now, transgenders are maybe less than 0.000000001% of our population. We at least got 13%. You're more concerned about giving transgenders the come up than you are about closing the egregious over $100 trillion egregious racial wealth gap. You see? Catering to all these other groups at the expense of the American descendant of chattel slavery, whose ancestors, heinous chattel slave labor, the worst of all its kind in all the known world, built all the wealth the transgenders, the LGBTQIA, the immigrants, and the white folks eat from. We are the legs. But you're more concerned with stopping the excellence of everything Black girls touch, Black girls and women touch. You want to shut down the Serena Williams, okay? The Gabby Douglases. You want to shut down all of that Adocs strength in sports by making us compete with, oh Lord, Shirley, I'm doing my show. Lord have mercy, every time. Family, just give me a second. I got to silence the phone. I don't know why I don't know to do this. See, this is when you need a producer. You need an engineer. Child, I'm wearing all the hats. I thank y'all for rolling with the sister that wears all the hats. But what he's more interested in doing, is making sure all the groups that eat off of our heinous chattel slave labor, he want to make sure he give them cover over closing the egregious racial wealth gap. And you also at the same time are mad at the Serena Williams. So you want us to compete with boys who are transgender. I don't know if they cut the junk off or what that actually entails, but they're still boys at the end of the day. So you're trying to crush Black excellence everywhere. You cut us out of all the industries, from Hollywood all the way down to the construction gigs. We have been cut out. And this is why the purpose of the show is to show you their hand so that we can weaponize our vote and socialize our suffering. So my writer goes on to say, therefore, halting the renewal of contracts to private prisons solely connected to the Federal Department of Justice doesn't even scratch the surface of solving the private prison problem, nor the prison industrial complex. This is a game. And capitalist, neoliberal politicians play this game masterfully. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? So while Biden is pretending to do something, reformative, transformative in this order, we still have the root of the problem. The feds feeding the states money for the beds to warehouse us. I've already shared with you guys on prior shows that one of the reasons Kamala was fourth out here in California, there's a myriad of reasons when she was running for her own presidential bid is because she locked up 90% of nonviolent offenders. Well, most of the people she locked up were nonviolent offenders. Let me just leave it at that, okay? And when the governor told her to free the nonviolent offenders, okay, because the jails were getting overcrowded, she told him, no, I need them for $1 a day to put out white fires in white hills of white homes. Y'all need to open up your eyes and shake off this decadent veil and get in this fight. Hit me up, friends of ADOS TV at Gmail. One of my mods, I don't even know how to make you a mod. Could somebody please write that Gmail? Friends of ADOS TV at gmail.com. Write that in there and write, please, Equity Advocates Pack. And that's www.equityadvpac.com. Because this is the lame nonsense we need to replace in Congress. NAACP just held a conference that I heard was whack. No real solutions. You know, you can't care about Black life just in the sense of you don't want the shame and the embarrassment of the race soldiers executing us on camera that goes viral. The only way you care about Black life mattering at all is if you are for economic inclusion. And there's no other way to close the over $100 trillion egregious racial wealth gap but for reparations. I have shared with you guys on the low end, we are owed $104 trillion. That does not include about 50 Black Wall Streets that were leveled by white supremacy and the government. It does not include compound interest since 2017. It does not include the cost of all the black lives that were lost at sea, that were hung, that were executed, that were whipped to death. It doesn't include the cost of that. And it doesn't include the cost of living increases. And we're owed an additional $735 billion with a B in recurring damages. That's on the low end. So I know it's easy to believe that you are a part of the top 10% because you're not on Skid Row. But I'm telling you, your ancestors paid the cost for your wealth. We may have income, but we have no wealth. And folks keep wanting to tell me 2053. I'm telling you, COVID has fast-tracked us to zero wealth. We don't even know those numbers. They honestly may not come out until 10 years from now because that's the game. To not keep up with the data, not to let you see what's happening all throughout the country, you see, with American descendants of chattel slavery. They don't want you to see that. They'll report on that 10 years from now in the same way the color of wealth numbers that I cite are from 2004 to 2014. We in 2021. Why isn't this data kept apprised and renewed annually? The same thing with abortion, right? We have aborted millions of Black babies, not because we necessarily wanted to. We couldn't afford to. So these right to lifers ain't talking about Black babies. They talking about white women giving up their babies. They don't give a damn about Black lives. They don't give a damn. That's a smoke screen to pretend to care. Because if you clearly cared, you wouldn't be a part of a system that oppresses the people that can't afford to have their babies. The number is atrocious, but then the data stops at a certain point. And that's when they flatten you under people of color, minority, what else? People of color, minority, Black even is a flatness. Okay, African American is a flatness. Okay, so this is how they flatten you so that they can mask your failure behind the decadent veil of the ADOS, like say Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Oprah Winfrey. You see, you got to look at politics with a third eye, family. Okay, you got to look at it with a third eye and see what's happening underneath, because it can have an appearance like we're winning when you see brown faces. That's another word they use. Black and brown. They like to lump all this together, the browning of America. And that's why we're fighting for our own ethnicity. The black descendant of American chattel slavery. Okay. And that's winning out here. That's winning out here. We just got this in the right hands to change our ethnicity in California, who is on the cutting edge of getting reparations for Californians. That's a fight that we took over, you see. That was Project Takeover. Okay. And so that's what we're doing. We are claiming our birthright so that our miladies can be seen, so that when we fill in the census, we are that black descendant of American chattel slavery, and we can get those resources coming to our community. And what the movement is working to ensure is that we've got a seat at the table. Out here in California, we are running the candidates for who will sit on that commission, at least for consideration. I'm throwing my hat in the ring to sit on that commission. Okay, I hope that makes you proud. I'm filling in the papers for consideration. Hey, ultimately, it's the governor's decision, but why not? Why not? And this is the level of government that all of us need to be doing locally as we fight collectively with the NAASD. That's the National Assembly of National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants. National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants. And I cannot wait to roll that out to you. But in the meantime, email me if you want to be a part of that and come in with me while we get taught on how to organize on the grassroots level under the NAACD, which has some powerful comrades over there. You'll be with the best and the brightest. You will be with the ones who actually founded and built this movement when you roll under me. Okay, so yeah, that's just one example of the nothing burger that Biden has signed into as an executive order. Let's talk about for the American descendant of chattel slavery. It's nothing. So like I said, setting a black agenda for Black Americans, this article says the United States is currently facing several simultaneous crises: the COVID-19 pandemic, a cratering economy, and systemic racism, all of which have disproportionately affected Black communities. Now, I'm reading from Brookings, brookings.edu. Okay. Edu, what's the rest of this? / setting a policy agenda for Black Americans. So let's dig in. I'm not going to read all these articles in their entirety. My daughter is ready to snuggle buggle in my reclining bed with some popcorn, and I'm ready to have a real libation over the water I'm having right now. I'm ready to celebrate because we have just now introduced a bill to change our ethnicity down here in Southern California, in the state of California. We are making moves, and I couldn't be prouder of the California chapter of the movement. But anywho, so let's get back to the text. And I'll be doing my comments in between. Y'all know how I do. As the country continues to grapple with the consequences of policies that have created and perpetuated the deep socioeconomic disparities experienced by Black Americans, many policymakers are exploring measures that could address structural inequities and expand social and economic mobility opportunities for people, communities of color. Excuse me, family. This is ADOS life happening. The heater is on and I'm burning up. Let me ask my daughter to turn off the heat so I don't have to go and do it myself. Genesis, my love, could you please turn off the heater? Mommy is melting. Oh. Woo, child, the ghetto, as the children say. Okay, so moving on. On February 1st, as part of our celebration of Black History Month, The Brookings Institution will host a webinar focusing on an inclusive public policy agenda for Black America. It's me speaking. I hope it's better than what I heard the NAACP put on. That was a nothing burger. And oftentimes when they put on these town halls, of course they don't let us speak. Back to the text. The event will feature a keynote session with Representative Joyce Beatty. Hello, that's Mark Stevenson's people out of Ohio. She is now the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, and Mayor of Little Rock, Arkansas, Frank Scott Jr., followed by a panel of Brookings scholars who will discuss key policy ideas such as expanding access to health care, housing, jobs and education, police and criminal justice reform, reparations for Black Americans, and why prioritizing the needs of Black communities is crucial to national recovery efforts. Viewers can submit questions for speakers via email to events@brookings.edu or via Twitter @BrookingsGov or by using hashtag Black History Month. I'm going to copy and paste this right now into the chat. So this is how everybody gets to be a part of the movement. This is what I need y'all to do. You see, it's just as simple as this. This is the work that certain folks chose not to do and chose to throw chairs instead and enlist her minions to throw chairs. This is the work. This is the grunt work. Making calls, tweeting, showing up to the Senate hearings. Well, most of them are on Zoom now, but you get the idea. Nobody wants to do this work. This is the work that we've been doing since we formed in 2018. Okay. So let me get back over here so I can share this with y'all in the comments. This is the work, and I need all y'all to be there, okay? And I need y'all to tweet your questions based on the information you gathered. Do that for me, please, family. Okay, so that's that. So, like I said, I pray that this is more robust than what the NAACP just rolled out, because right here I'm reading an article from Bloomberg. U.S. suffers sharpest rise in poverty rate in more than 50 years. Dated January 25th, 2021. So let me just read a little bit of it and give my comments. The end of 2020 brought the sharpest rise in the U.S. poverty rate since the 1960s, according to a study released Monday. Me speaking. Now, we know this is going on, and we know they make a ton of excuses as to why they cannot pay our reparations in the trillions over multi-generations, right? But the last stimulus bill that was flattened with the federal stimulus, the federal spending bill under the omnibus bill, it was around $903 billion. And I want to say $703 billion went to foreign countries, lobbyists and special interest groups. Okay. And only $197 billion came to the people. Yeah. So they're able to line their pockets with billions. As a matter of fact, your House of Representatives got a $25 million pay increase in what they call the COVID relief package. Now, if you're not doing politics, you would have thought that the whole $903 billion went to the American people, right? So don't you ever let this country sell you a bill of goods that they can't do reparations while they do the military industrial complex and line their pockets and prop up the stock market in the tune of trillions of dollars. Since before, COVID, you hear me? So when white folks catch a cold, Black folks catch COVID, you see. And that's what's happening. So they're talking about, a rise in poverty. Let's see and read on to see if they talk about it in relationship to the American descendant of chattel slavery that showed up 87% to the polls to deliver Biden-Harris. I've not seen an executive order akin to what Trump did for the Indians to the tune of $3.3 billion. I've not seen that yet. Okay. So economist Bruce Meyer from the University of Chicago and James Sullivan of the University of Notre Dame found that the poverty rate increased by 2.4 percentage points during the latter half of 2020 at the U.S. as the U.S. continued to suffer the economic impacts from COVID-19. That percentage point rise is nearly double the largest annual increase in poverty since the 60s. This means an additional 8 million people nationwide are now considered poor. Moreover, here we go, the poverty rate for Black Americans is estimated to have jumped by 5.4 percentage points or by 2.4 million individuals. So at least they talked on it. I'm not going to read this whole thing. I just want to give you some context. During the first recession, when the bottom fell out of real estate, under Obama, 43% of American descendants of chattel slavery lost all of their wealth. Our homes. Mine was spared. Thank God. Okay. But 43% of us lost our wealth back in 2008. With very few exceptions. But during his tenure, over 1 million white millionaires were created. And so this pandemic is designed to wipe us completely off the monopoly board while they weaponize immigration against us to replace us. They want to replace our vote because why? We are waking up. We are waking up collectively. We are having new Black media tell the story that the mainstream media refuses to. We're over here in the best interest of American descendant of chattel slavery. And they're constantly messing with your sister. They're constantly throwing me in jail, giving me copyright strikes. Okay. Speaking of which, let me stop. I always forget this. I have to incorporate it. I'm going to actually record it to play at the top of the show, so I don't have to worry over this part. But this is the Fair Use Disclaimer Act. I must read it because they're constantly trying to shut me down over copyright strikes. Any reason, an excuse will do. You would think that I was these race soldiers, these racist devils, that spread white supremacist and are assassinating us, under qualified immunity. You would think that that's the kind of work I am doing the way they ride me in Facebook. So let me do another plug to please subscribe to me at Friends of ADOS TV over in the YouTube. So like, share, and subscribe because it gets the algorithms up. And the goal is to make this message go viral so we will all get into the fight, right? So let me read my Fair Use Disclaimer Act so that I don't get copyright strikes. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. There, got that out the way. So this pandemic is designed to wipe us completely off the chessboard, the monopoly board, whatever you want to call it. We don't have to wait till 2053 to be wealthless. We're already there. COVID fast-tracked that. But it was never going to take until 2053 when over half our men are unemployed or underemployed, men and women. It's a real crisis. While Biden sits up here and signs executive orders for inclusion of transgenders into girls' sports. The scholars' findings puts the rate at 11.8% in December, while poverty is down from readings of more than 15% a decade earlier. The new estimate suggests that the annual Census Bureau tally due in September will be higher than the last official pre-pandemic level of 10.5% in 2019. Okay, I'm not going to read that because we always know that it's the national numbers and then there's the numbers concerning us. Those are the numbers that they hide. We'll be at 50-something% and they'll be talking about 5%. Okay, because they're dealing in the entire population. I'm only interested in numbers concerning American descendants of chattel slavery. So let's move on to the next thing I want to talk about. So more, of this nonsense. First Lady Jill Biden expected to take active role in immigrant family reunification. The way I see it, they brought us the crack epidemic, locked up our crack addicted, took the fathers from anything political and threw them into jail when you spoke up for your people, put nonviolent offenders in jail while the state turns a profit on weed. They've not let them go yet, right? For that new slavery, not so new slavery, the continuing of slavery in the private prisons. And First Lady Jill Biden doesn't take an active role in reuniting Black fathers, Black mothers with Black children, all three of which have been caught up in the prison system, the juvenile system. Her first active role is in immigrant family reunification. Now, I have no problem with immigration and helping immigrants, but I'll be damned. I got a real problem with you seeking to make them citizens with plans to bring more of them in here under H-1B visas for tech jobs that you discriminate against our college degree. They can't get those jobs because they don't have the complexion for the protection. And now out here, you're forced to know Spanish before even getting a job interview. I'm not for making outsiders more American than the American descendant of chattel slavery who was here long before the country was formed. That's the problem I have with weaponizing immigration against the American descendant of chattel slavery. You want to worry about this reunification. You want to create the problem because, see, these cages that have done this were established under Obama, whom we got elected for 2 terms, and are now at George Floyd 846, right? So she's taking an active role in immigrant family reunification, not concerned about how they purposely and intentionally brought drugs and weapons into our communities, took public school dollars from the Black schools, closed about 30 schools. Rahm Emanuel closed 30 Black schools in Chicago and wants to scratch his head as to why there is Black on Black crime and murder in Chicago off the charts. So you want to create the problem and then want our vote to be the solution. 87%. Only 65% of us showed up for Obama. 87% of y'all, not me. And more than likely not the people who are watching, thought it was ideal to replace a racist in office of 4 years with racist, plural, in office for a combined 65 years with records to prove it. 87% of us said that Trump tweeting negative messages, not even do a large part about us, he had to go. But he was building a wall, even if his first reason was not us, that helped to protect us, because that is who they're forcing us to compete with. When many of the immigrants have the wealth that makes them white. Okay, this country allows them to identify as white Hispanic or non-white Hispanic. They get a choice. And what they do, as I mentioned on my last show, is they play both sides. They want the set-asides as a brown person. They want our affirmative action that was given away to white women first, immigrants second, and LGBTQIA third. They want that, so they'll identify as brown for those set-asides for the scholarships that we should be receiving. That's our affirmative action, used to make all them whole. And then they'll claim whiteness for the loans to do small business in your communities. For the mini mansions, they get the home loans for the homes and the businesses. They get loans for both. Using the white card. They got it made in the shade. While the government seeks to replace our vote since we're now awoke. You can't tell by 87% that showed up without demanding tangibles and reparations. You saw how they got shut down in that meeting that was leaked, with Biden telling them you'll have to answer to Hispanics, work with Hispanics. Hispanics ain't thinking about you. They're thinking about them and taking it over. Let me move on to show you how. Biden's Department of Education Secretary pick Miguel Cardona says student debt relief will be a priority. Well, if only 16% of us are degreed, how does this help the other 84% of American descendant of chattel slavery? I constantly am teaching you guys that class-based policies don't fix race. Not any one American descendant of chattel slavery over, student debt relief. No, Hispanic. This is from CBS News, January 26, 2021. Also, let's look further. Immigration reform bill could allow Southeast Asian American deportees to return. How is that helpful when we have to compete with immigrants whose money makes them white and who are able to identify as white to get access to whiteness while getting access to the things that make us the anchor? Moving on, I have a story time. I'm getting to my story today. I might not be able to read but a few pages, but we're going to get in that story today. You hear me? Okay, let's go over some more. Compton joins the growing numbers of U.S. cities to launch a guaranteed income program. The California city began distributing out up to $600 monthly to low-income residents. But did you know that Compton where is it at? Oh my God. I pulled this up. Did you know that Compton is mostly Hispanics now? Here we go. In 2018, Compton, California had a population of 97,300 people with a median age of 30.7 and a median household income of $50,507. Between 2017 and 2018, the population of Compton, California declined from 97,847 to 97,301. And its median household income grew from $48,117 to $50,507, a 4.97% increase. The 5 largest ethnic groups in Compton, California are white Hispanic, 36.5%. Other Hispanic, 29.8%. So let's do the math. I'm too tired. I can't do it in my head like I normally do. Okay, so we're going to go to the trusty calculator. So we've got 36.5 white Hispanic, 29.8 Black Hispanic, 66.3% white and other Hispanics in Compton. Black or African American non-Hispanic, 28.9%. White non-Hispanics are very small at 1.18%, and 2+ Hispanic is 1.05%. I don't know what that means. Let's just go back. I'm just dealing with the browning of America. And as goes California, so goes the nation. So don't sit smug thinking this is not coming to a theater near you. This is what Biden Harris, this is what you voted for. A replacement of your people akin to what's happening here in California. We are down from 16% to only 5%, 90% on Skid Row. 200 liquid back in 2004 to 2014. I don't know what it is today. Negative 200. To African immigrants, 60,000 liquid. To white folks, I want to say 150,000 liquid. To Asian Indians, Kamala people, 425,000 liquid. And Compton, you would think, oh my God, they're going to be doing UBI for Compton. Y'all over throughout the country cheering. Black folks gonna get a come up. They're gonna get a check. They're gonna cut the check. Yeah. Until you use your third eye and you see that 66% of the Hispanics are going to be getting the UBI for Compton, while only 28.9% of us will receive it. And these numbers are back from 2018. I don't even think we are 28.9 since COVID. Folks have been fleeing to the South. They can't afford to be in California. Okay. So I'm just trying to help you understand and use your third eye to get in this fight. Friends of ADOS TV at Gmail if you want to get in this fight. Help us make calls. Help us to put pressure on the politicians. Help us with your aggregated dollars to replace the lanes for allowing this to happen to us on the local, state, and federal levels. Visit www.equityadvpac.com. Okay, so there was one last thing I wanted to talk about, and then I'll get on to story time. Oh, I'll do your Q&A first. And I'll come over to say hello to my loves, my co-host. I love y'all. Can y'all tell I love y'all? I'm losing my voice. I love y'all so much. Oh, my Lord. I want to thank y'all for all of the positive messages you sent me when I had to blow shit up, you know. It is what it is. Somebody has to do it. Ooh, do Jesus. Let me open up this sliding glass door. Hold on, y'all. Have mercy. Mother's getting hot. I'm trying to be cute. It's hard to be cute when you're burning up. Hopefully that'll help. Okay, let's see here. I was going to one more thing I want to share. I hope I can see it, though. Let's see if I can even see it to share it. Application window. Maybe it's there. Okay, let's see. Can y'all see that? I think you can. So this is why. Hi, Mike Michelson, Dana White, Antoine Foster. I try to keep it cute. Yes, I love cute now. I love to be pretty. Yes, I do. I don't come over here with my hair standing all over my head. Folks that know me know I can really look crazy sometimes. But I do try to clean up nice for y'all. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So I wanted to show you this picture, and I wanted to read one of my love's comments. Let me get back over here. Uh-oh. Okay. I'm trying to get over here to read my comments. Let me just go to my phone to read my comments. So you see featured in this picture the Black immigrants who are masking our failure. Let me get to my love's note. that she hit me up with in Facebook. That's a part of this post. Just give me a second, family. Okay, where did I put it? Is it here? Oh God, no, that's not it. Was it I copied and pasted it. Okay, hold on. Give me a second while y'all feast y'all's eyes. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. One of my loves shared this about this picture that you see here featuring our lovely Black immigrants. I have no issues with Black immigrants. I have much issue with Black immigrants masking our failure and not getting in this fight with us as allies for the reparations we are long overdue. Every one of these women you see in this picture, we are their reparations. Kamala Harris is within a stone's throw of the presidency in one generation. Right? And we've been here forever, since before the country was formed. Owned by the Spaniards, then, the Europeans in the slave trade. But they get to be within a stone's throw of the presidency, or, first in line for consideration to fill out both Biden-Harris's administrations. Okay, in the media spaces, dragging us, dragging us for fighting for reparations. Many of them first generation. We are their reparations. It wasn't their ancestors who did the heinous chattel slave labor in this country. It was ours. So one of my loves wrote, and I'll conclude with this and get to your comments so we can get to our reading. Get your libations. Immigrants and children of immigrants are the new Black. Native American descendants of slavery are being erased and replaced. We built one of the wealthiest nations for free, paving the way during the civil rights movement for immigrants to be here. And they now have more privilege than us. It's the illusion of inclusion. Wake up, America. They look like us, but we didn't come with money or by choice. We came in shackles for sale. No, we want reparations now. Stay woke. So once again, if you want to get in this fight, I encourage you to get in this fight. If you don't have the energy or the time to fight, help us to aggregate dollars let me put that in here. I don't even know. You probably did it for me already. Y'all usually on top of it over here without even asking. But I'm going to put it again for kicks and giggles. If you don't have the strength or the time or the energy to fight, understand that aggregated dollars get us the money and the capital we need to replace the lanes on the local, state, and federal levels. We need all hands on deck. EquityADVPack.com. And I'm going to share my Gmail account, Friends of ADOS TV. Everything is under construction. Friends of ADOS TV at Gmail. Everything is transitioning over. So if you want to join me in my chapter under the NAASD, hit me up with a Gmail. I'm also working, just hit me up with a Gmail. Let me not speak too much about all the things I'm doing. This is one thing that's close to my heart because I already work with many of the people that sit in the assembly here in California. So it's important for me to build with people that know what they're doing. If you want to join me, do so. So let's go down. I'm going to read your comments and say hello to people I've missed. What's up? Damon is here. Thank you for joining the live. Pretty Muslima says, crying for other folks when we are not good equals lack of self-love. We have to love ourselves more. Everything starts with self. First and foremost, all things, literally. You got that right, sis. Dark Child Williams, welcome to the live. Lineage first. Pretty Muslima, I didn't think it was a big deal. Let our men come home. Change that mandatory sentencing. Dismantle the private prison industrial complex. It's a whole industry. Legal slavery. Sis, you're on fire tonight with your comments. Thank you. Lineage First, welcome to the live. Robbed even in identity. Yes, they have flattened blackness under POC, minority, African American, and black was even a trick bag. Who knew? JR 118, ADOS, New Jersey in the building. Thank you, Miss Lady K Love. Thank you for joining the live, JR 118. Miss Lady K Love, we don't want tokenism or symbolism. We want reparations. Absolutely. Putting Harriet Tubman on the dollar on the back of our slave masters is not a come up for the American descendant of chattel slavery. How many of our wealthless even had $20? That's not what Harriet Tubman put her life on the line for. The ancestors, it requires symbolism. They want you to give us what we're owed in the trillions over multi-generations. And that's our fight. Shanna Kim, thank you for joining the live. Track, rugby, MMA, fighting, and boxing. This is what they're replacing. Biden's executive order will allow these transgender men to compete with us in track, rugby, MMA, fighting, and boxing. So you want men to jack up the likes of, say, a Layla Ali, or compete with our young Flojos. I don't know who's in rugby, but this is what that order allows them to shut down the excellence of women in sporting events by making us compete with men. No different than the way they use us as chattel slaves. Make us compete and fight with men. It's a crying shame. And none of it closes the egregious racial wealth gap. And I pray it fails miserably. And I'm grateful that my daughter is finishing next year because she's a track star, and I would never wish this for her. And sadly, I can't fight all the fights. I'm just making the case over here for reparations. I've got to stay on my square and to fight locally. It's a lot. So that's somebody else's fight. My daughter's almost done with the fiasco, but it should have never been allowed to happen. This is why we got to replace the lames. How in the world can we have a CBC full of black immigrants and they not stop and shut this down and see how harmful this is to our black women and our black girls? Mike Michelson, welcome to the line. Denise Jarrett, expert stylist. We rolling with you, sis, and I love y'all for it. Isaac Mitchell, welcome to the live. Veronica Ankrim, welcome, my love. Pretty Muslima, I think we were already near zero wealth before COVID. Oh no, Pretty Muslima, you're right. If you look to your left and to your right, didn't they tell you in college that those folks weren't going to be there no more? Oh no, if you look to your left and to your right and you don't see anybody with any wealth, it's already a wrap. Let me stop sharing the screen. Okay. What's up? Oh, Tansy Flakes. I see you, my love. Welcome to the live ADOS. Well, NAAS, I'm going to speak it into existence. NAASD DMV. Pretty Muslima, we have to care about black lives. Clearly, we are not up in arms about white women aborting their babies. Just saying. No, we're not. That was my point. That we've lost millions of babies since when was this? When was abortion introduced in the 70s? Or was that the last count in the 70s? Don't quote me. The facts are kind of jumbled in my dome. I'd have to pull up the information. But we can't even find the current information on that. If one of you guys can, that would be great to share it in the chat. Yeah, our black babies were being aborted not because we don't love them, but because we can't afford them. And many of us have post-traumatic slave syndrome, and we use sex and drugs and alcohol as a form of escape. So women were using abortion as a form of birth control. It's tragic. We need so much. That's why I have so much compassion and empathy for my people. This is why I am in the fight, right? All of us are in the fight. Jamar Carlisle, I thank you for being on the live, my love. Moni Love, Mommy is melting. Yes, she helped relieve me. She turned off the heat. She, we're at two different uh, places in our journey, right? I'm with the over 50 crew. She's 16. Okay, can y'all feel me? While my makeup just melts right off. And then the lights, and then me getting hotter than fish grease. Mike Michael said, where's my skillet? Where's my bubbling oil for the fish? I'm sure you'll post it later. Okay. Chrissy Bambusa, thank you for joining the live, my love. You guys got to look at the archive. She was telling us in the archives about how she's living her life like it's golden in Mexico. And I hope to have Tansy Flakes on soon as a guest to share about her African experience in the Gambia. Oh, I'm excited to have her. She said she'll come on, so that's going to be rich. Okay. Can you post a link of what you are reading, sis? I read so much. For the screens that are open, I'll just post them after the show, Mike. Biden having it hard to pass the $15 minimum. York 2700, welcome to the live, my love. Biden having it hard to pass the $15 minimum wage bill. That's not enough. I want my reparations. And you're right to stay on your square. How long have they been on $15 an hour? Since it was $6? Like, seriously, that's not how any of this works. Class-based policies don't fix race. We want our whole enchilada. We want our 104 plus trillion. And like I said, as a negotiator by trade, we'll meet somewhere in the middle. We're okay with that. But we're not starting at no 17 trillion. That's not even about to happen. Not with the people that are rolling with me. Okay? If you're rolling with me, we fighting for the whole enchilada. We throwing everything in the kitchen sink in that number because it's still ongoing. Okay? And so we want to make sure before we leave here that we set our children and our grandchildren, our whole lineage needs to be hooked up for at least as long as we've been here in this country, for at least that long. Okay. What's up, Antonio Thomas? Thank you for joining the live. Herb Saint, thank you for joining the live. He says AOC progressives aren't just clamoring for student debt reductions, elimination. They want student debt replacement. They are looking for six-figure paybacks. Absolutely. AOC, I just did in my last live, wants reparations even for COVID. They're going for broke. And they'll get it before us if we don't engage politically. If we keep sitting on the sidelines watching folks throw chairs, we'll never get what we're owed. We've already wasted a couple of years having our hands tied by the nonsense, and they still going. But we can see clearly now, and now we're going to be fast tracking with swift, acuity and focus to get the work that has fallen off because the hands were tied and we couldn't get in the spaces that we had meetings for because of the chair throwing. Yeah. So we're back to work now. We see clearly now. We go buy you a fair, Angela. Tansy, I got one. Lord have mercy. I can't find it. It's a beautiful leather one that one of my brothers from Africa gave me. I have searched high and low. It's in one of these bags somewhere over here. I got to find it. And I got a standing fan, but I don't want the noise to impede. I already am competing with the noise outside. Antoine Foster, I live in a municipality that's 70% white and 10% black. Certainly, that 10% isn't all ADOS. I'm guessing more like 7% ADOS. Absolutely. Down here, I think it's 9%. We're in competition with black immigrants who are about half of that 9, right? We're like 5%, they're like 4. And far richer than us. So where do you think the race soldiers are going when they get hungry to take black life? To the neighborhoods where we're 200 liquid or to the neighborhoods where we're 60,000 liquid? It's all in the math. Use your third eye. Put it together. Dana White, repeat that, please. That was a long acronym. Are you referring to the National Association for American Slavery Descendants? I think that's what you said. I think that's what you're referring to. Your channel has 444 subscribers. The universe is sending you encouragement and protection. Thank you, Miss Lady K Love. That's a lot on YouTube. That's really growing. Yeah. I get probably on the average about 3,000 views. So y'all share. I need everybody to get this, right? So I thank you guys for supporting me and for believing in what I do and for allowing me the privilege to be a voice for the American descendant of chattel slavery. It is a privilege to do this on your behalf. I love this. I was born for this. Thank you, Miss Katie Lay Love. I just love y'all. Y'all just, oh my God, y'all are so rich. What's up? Okay, y'all giving each other love. Earth Saint, okay, Brandon Hill, Shirley Huzar. I'm so glad you stopped calling my phone and figured out I was over here on this line. Thank you. You know I'll call you back. You know we got lots to talk about, girl. All right. So with that being said, where's my book? Oh, Lord. I had my book in my glasses. Let's see. I had my book in my glasses. So I usually, I'm trying to bolster up my numbers. So I got Clubhouse on, but they've been directed to come to YouTube. And hopefully that'll work. I just turn it on for anybody who wants to sit in the Clubhouse and listen to the show. I usually have an after party, but not tonight. Mama's tired from blowing shit up, okay? Mama's tired. I'm going to go and kick back with my daughter, and I'm going to let Netflix put me to sleep in my reclining bed. Chicago ADOS is pushing HB 433, an equity bill. Violence is a health crisis, and it's getting traction. Beautiful. Let me know how I can help. I got folks ready to work, ready to dial, ready to show up on Zooms. Let us know what we can do. It's all hands on deck. Each one reach for one, right? Because y'all sure enough helped us with AB 3121, and I'm forever grateful. Tansy says, well, we will get you a quiet Beyonce TV fan. Absolutely. No Netflix and chill. Honey, when you got a 16-year-old that is the gatekeeper of your uterus and your ovaries, no Netflix and chill. in 2022, okay, in 2022. But she shuts it down. She goes by the fellas and goes, thank you, Tansy, National Association of American Slavery Descendants. That's a new thing, y'all. It ain't out yet, but it's on the way. It's cooking. Y'all just get ready. Give me them emails so we can form our own chapter and help each other throughout the country. All right, so we're back to the thank you guys for those lovely comments. I'm going to stop reading from that, but y'all can continue to comment as you choose. I'm going to read the Black Tax, the cost of being Black in America. We close to the end, y'all. This is by Shawn D. Rochester. Before I forget, oh, Lord have mercy. I've got a rich guest coming on Sunday. You're not going to want to miss this. You're not going to want to miss it. She was on Be the Power, and she's coming to the reparationist perspective. She is the first lady of the reparationist movement. Yes, she'll be over here. Miss Kathleen Parks will be here on Sunday. We'll be doing that show at 12 noon. 12 noon Pacific, 2 Central, and 3 Eastern. She can't do a late show, and I got late meetings, so it's a win-win. So make sure you tune in Sunday. It's going to be fire. It's going to be rich. You don't want to miss it, okay? So let's dig in. We're on the way forward. We're almost at the end, okay? This is the high cost of the Black tax. I'm going to read as much. Let's see, where am I at? 6:29. When did we start? At 5? Okay, this has to shut down at 7. So whatever I don't read, I'll finish either after the interview on Sunday with the First Lady of Reparations. Oh, they're wonderful. These elders are so in love with us. And they literally, Dr. Norris Shelton, oh my God. What a dream. What a cream puff. He was so wonderful to me, allowing me to ask him with a lot of questions. They love what we're doing. They love what we're doing. And one of the viewers of the Be the Power show with the First Lady of Reparations, he commented that it's too much, there is too much what do they call? He said, it's too many books. Like, it's just too much. Where's the action? And I had to let him know we are the action. They're seeking us to be the action. Okay? Anywho, back to the text. So, the high cost of the black tax. In part one, the current black tax, we explored the current cost of implicit and explicit bias against black Americans and found that the bias is pervasive, systematic, and the cost is significant. Oh, Lord. Now, who picks up trash at 6:30 in the evening? Y'all, I hope y'all can hear. Lord have mercy. ADOS life. Balling on the budget. This tax exists in the housing market where we saw that if you're black, one, you're more likely to be told about fewer homes and shown fewer homes when you are looking for a home. Two, you're also more likely to be treated as if your credit worthiness is substantially lower than it is if you have an African American sounding name. Three, you are 60% more likely to be turned down for a loan than whites with similar characteristics. Four, you are 3 times more likely to receive a higher price loan than your white counterpart with the same credit risk. 5, your home could end up being worth 18% less than it otherwise should be if you live in an area where the black population is more than 10% of the total population. And for a home purchased by an African American for $450,000, the increased interest rate, fees, and the long-term equity appreciation gap could cost an additional $345,000 over 30 years. For Black Americans, the equity appreciation gap alone could be reducing their real estate holdings by $317 billion. Now remember, these numbers are from 2017 when the book was published, okay? We saw that a black tax exists in the auto market where African American buyers are more likely to, number one, pay a higher purchase price, 2, receive higher financing costs, 3, get higher insurance premiums, even if they have a perfect driving record but live in a black community. This could cost up to $70,000 over the course of a buyer's life. Given that Black Americans purchase or lease about 5 million cars per year, the cumulative costs could be up to $10 billion per year in incremental automotive costs. I was just thinking, they're probably late tonight because it was pouring torrential rains today. So just, the show must go on. We saw that a black tax exists in the online commerce market where an African American sounding name, a picture of a black seller, or even the mere presence of black fingers holding an item can lower the value of what they are selling by 20% to 35%. Okay, they sound like they right outside my door. Give me a second, family. I can't. I feel like I'm screaming at y'all now. Okay. All right. Back to the text. Let me take a sip. Thank y'all for y'all's patience. Okay. I'm going to have to open it when they leave because, oh, child, the ghetto is hot. We saw that black tax. Oh, yeah, this black tax. So this is a summation of what I've been through the entire series, okay? It's good for those of you who are just new to the show. You have to understand the numbers to understand what you're owed. Okay, let me go back to the auto. This could cost up to $70,000 over the course of a buyer's life, given that Black Americans purchase or lease about 5 million cars per year. The cumulative costs could be up to $10 billion per year in incremental automotive cost. Okay, so these are some of those recurring, right? The recurring cost of being Black, American descendant of chattel slavery in the country our ancestors built with their lives. That's why I said I'm going for not only the repair, okay, for past injuries and current injuries. It's a recurring. So if y'all want to not do anything about qualified immunity in private prisons. There's a cost to that, right? That's what I mean by the recurring portion. We're at, on the low end, 104 trillion, and then 735 billion recurring since 2017 when this book was published. We need new numbers. Just letting you know. That's what I'm fighting for. Okay, so we saw that a black tax exists in the online commerce market where an African-American sounding name, a picture of a black seller, or even the mere presence of black fingers like this, holding an item, can lower the value of what they are selling by 20 to 35%. In the job market, we saw that a resume with an African-American sounding name can get 50% fewer callbacks for interviews than the same resume with a white sounding name, and requires up to 8 more years of work experience to compensate for the black sounding name. In large law firms, partners will often find 100% more mistakes in legal memos if they believe that the author of the memo is a black lawyer versus when they think the same memo is written by a white lawyer. They will also see less likelihood for future success as a lawyer when the same memo is thought to be written by a black attorney, the consequence of which can cost a promising black lawyer $11 million in lifetime earnings. Now you see why we have so few attorneys, going to law school and getting licensed. They can't make it because their blackness is discriminated against. The bar is always gargantuan for us. In every industry, there's a white standard, which is a black tax on American descendants of chattel slavery. In part 2, Historical Black Tax, we explored the economic value extracted from and denied to Black Americans during slavery and throughout the 150 years since slavery. We saw that the economic value extracted from enslaved people was $50 trillion, and that the economic value of those people in 1860 was the equivalent of 22 trillion in today's dollars. Blacks were emancipated from slavery with virtually no wealth, land, or means to sustain themselves, while white families were given 246 million acres worth of up to $1.5 trillion. That's what my intro is about, right? With Martin Luther King reciting all the goodies they got. I'm talking white folks that were here as our slave masters and our oppressors, and then they brought in immigrant whites to collect all of this while leaving us penniless to pull ourselves up by our bootless straps as folks act as if anything has changed. We still pulling ourselves up by our bootless straps. We're not talking about reparations in lieu of pulling yourself up by your bootless strap. We would not be 40 million strong in this country if we were just sitting around waiting for a check. This ain't welfare, it ain't a handout. This is the debt that is owed for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives, that all of you get to eat from the table of, immigrants and white folks alike. We are the legs. And we're telling you, this is your wake-up call, that we're done being the legs of that table. We're done being the anchor of America. It's someone else's turn because that is what capitalism requires. So y'all can choose straws. I'm telling you, we're done. Black Americans were then quickly forced into a Jim Crow segregation period, which stripped them of another $15 trillion over the next 65 years. During this time, they were subjected to an ill-funded, inferior educational system, which reduced their earning power by 50% for several generations. Blacks received less than 2% of the $1 trillion stimuli associated with the New Deal, the GI Bill, and the VA FHA housing programs. Shout out to those of you who have donated to the channel. Let me run that banner while I read us out for the next 20 minutes, and then I'll pray us out in the last segment. I I purchased 10 of these books with a letter going to Sheila Jackson Lee with the CC to Biden, Harris, Julian Malveaux, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Joyce Beatty, Barbara Lee, Karen Bass, with your proceeds, with your donations, unakin to other people on other channels who said the money you give them is for their bills, not for the movement. Well, let me help you understand something. Each and every one of us who founded this movement come out of our own pockets. I use my proceeds to educate the masses and to advocate for reparations. Okay, the proceeds from this show and also my own salary before I even started, raising money over here. But I've gotten 10 of these books, and your proceeds help me to do more. And your proceeds help me do what I do. So I'm going to wave that banner, and you guys give as you see fit. Okay? There. Yeah. Black Americans were denied mortgages and denied the ability to live in a safe, prosperous neighborhood occupied by whites, which cost future generation almost $5 trillion in equity. Okay, let's talk about the Black lives that it costs through the Black-on-Black crimes and murder. That needs to be factored in. Because we were redlined into environmentally racist communities and tenement housing. And crack cocaine and guns were dropped into our communities. So there's a cost to that. There's a cost to the way you come through and execute us by government sanction to make way for gentrification. Let's talk about that cost. We saw the systematic discrimination supported by law and custom that denied Blacks access to almost all high-paying, high-skilled jobs and careers and high-quality education for almost 100 years, longer than that. Right now, Biden and Harris are intending H-1B visas to open up the borders to more East Indian Brahmin caste, which are white in India, where Kamala's mama is from. While we are the Dalits, as Martin Luther King Jr. told us after visiting India, the bottom caste. Okay? So they're opening up H-1B visas to bring in more immigration to oppress us, having us compete with whiteness in the form of East Indian Brahmin caste. Those jobs pay $150,000 on up. Our degree in the STEM can't compete with that. They don't get hired. There's no quotas. Because affirmative action means white women first, immigrants second, and LGBTQIA third. If there's any crumbs left on the floor, a couple of American descendants of chattel slavery can have at that. This saddled African Americans with high unemployment, high poverty, high crime, and a high incarceration rate. What's different in 2021? They were then ill-prepared for the shift from an economy driven by manufacturing jobs to one driven by high-skilled service jobs. We saw that the end result of this massive economic disenfranchisement, this Black tax, is having $8 trillion less wealth than we otherwise should. There being 6 million fewer jobs employed by Black businesses and 1.4 million fewer Black businesses with employees than we should have. Since 2017, okay? Since 2017. It's worse now since COVID. Before COVID and now after COVID. It's far worse. These numbers are far more egregious. As Sheila Jackson Lee wants to pass a toothless HR 40. Unemployed and underemployed. Even when we can get employment, it's a fraction of what white folks and immigrant folks make. We are in a race on the bottom with Hispanics who are quickly climbing over us with every AOC they've got in office. A white high school dropout is more gainfully employable than a black college degree student. The black tax, family. You have to understand where we are, how we got here, so you can get in this fight with your dollars or your advocacy. The power of PhD and soul. Okay, now that's what we're going to be reading next. So get your books, family. CPR for the soul. How to give yourself a 20% raise, eliminate your debt, and leave an inheritance for your children's children by the same Shawn D. Rochester. Okay, so get your books because I'm going into this one next. I try to read small books so we can get through it, but we need solutions right now while we fight. In part 3, what can we do about the black tax? We learn powerful strategies to reduce and eventually eliminate the effects of the black tax. The most vital is that we should get our PhD, which is to 1, purchase, hire, and deposit black, and 2, practice stewardship, ownership, and legacy, which is soul. At this point, there is a misalignment between what we say we want and where our actions and resources are invested. You guys know how I feel about what his perspective on this. It's not because we want it this way. It's this way by design of institutional systemic racism that robs us of the resources to even do politics. That's why they can put Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill. And everybody is just like, great, yay. That's why they can take down all the Confederate figurines and folks think we winning. And we're losing. At this point, okay, African Americans want economic empowerment and financial independence, but our actions and resources are collectively invested in things that, 1, will not bring that about, and 2, often work against us. Societies are built on communities, and communities are built on families, and families are built on the means to generate income to support their basic needs and allocate any excess to wealth accumulation. If we want to create jobs to sustain and elevate families, then PhD is necessary. If we want to create intergenerational wealth at an individual level, then stewardship, ownership, and legacy, soul, is necessary. If we want to have a strong political base to limit future disenfranchisement, then both are needed. As we've seen, the concept of PhD is simple and powerful. We should purchase, hire, and deposit in Black businesses, banks, and communities. So we're going to talk about ways in his other book how we can do this, family. It is vitally important that African Americans lead by example because it is foolish to expect others to invest more in us than we are willing to invest in ourselves. We should also require CBGs that we do business with to get their PhD as well. Did he define that? I'm sure he did prior. Let's see if it comes up in the text. If our actions are consistent with PhD, they will facilitate significant incremental economic development in the form of job creation, business development, and wealth accumulation. Nelson Mandela, the first president of South Africa after the fall of apartheid, once said that our attitudes to others are based on their attitudes to our struggles. Therefore, it makes strategic sense to invest in, partner with, and otherwise support institutions and policies that drive, purchase, hire, and deposit. PhD. PhD is powerful because it links capital and employment and the demand for goods and services. It is also self-reinforcing because PhD, number 1, increases deposits, which provides the capital to fund business formation and expansion, i.e. product development, human capital acquisition and development, management systems, sales, and marketing. 2, stimulates additional hiring within both Black and non-Black enterprises and their supply chains, which also increases deposits. And 3, stimulates purchases at the consumer, corporate, and government levels via supply chain spending and personal consumption. Businesses generally fail because of a lack of capital and lack of demand for their goods and services. This is also the case for Black businesses. Black enterprises have historically had extremely limited access to all forms of capital and limited ability to trade freely by law, custom, and extreme discrimination. However, The African American consumer market, along with other consumers who believe in African economic development, collectively have enough capital in the form of deposits and internal demand in the form of a consumption to provide a secure economic base for millions of Black businesses to grow and expand into larger and more diverse regional, national, and international markets. This will in turn drive significant demand for hiring at all functional levels within those companies and within the African American community. 650. Focusing on stewardship, ownership, and legacy, soul, and getting your PhD not only reduces the effects of the Black tax, but also focuses the mind on and orients actions toward things that stimulate capital, employment, and business development. 2, provides increased opportunity for industry and innovation, capital, skill, and security. 3, provides an important step toward repairing the damage from the Black tax. If you want to eliminate the gap of the 6 million jobs, 1.4 million businesses, and $8 trillion of net worth missing from Black communities, then you should start by getting your PhD, doing business with people, businesses, and organizations that have their PhD, and supporting policies that drive PhD. This is not a call to support Black enterprises because support implies an uneven exchange with one side receiving and one giving. This is the charity mindset that many people have when they think about engaging with Black businesses, organizations, and causes. Black enterprises don't need your support, they need your business, and you need the jobs that they will generate and the independence and wealth that those jobs will create. In exchange for your business, they will provide you with high quality goods and services. This will lead to a positive feedback loop that creates the need for more jobs, requires additional skills, demands more capital, induces more innovation, develops the economies of scale, which lowers prices, provides incomes for families, drives additional consumption, allows for wealth accumulation, and ultimately leaves a legacy for the next generation. So I'm not done, but I'm almost there. I'm going to stop right here and we'll pick this up to finish it out probably on Sunday after my interview with the First Lady of Reparations, okay, Miss Kathleen. All right, guys. I want to thank you so much for spending your Friday with me in this way. I'm very, very grateful to you, one and all. We got a lot of work to do, family, a whole lot. We got 2 years before the Republicans take the Congress. We've got a lot to do in 2 years to push on Congress to get these reparations done, at least a down payment. I know HR 40, they're talking about a year to get that done. Finally, they put some time limits in place. They do want $12 million for that still, which we're fighting against. So we need all hands on deck. We've got, that's why I'm aggregating dollars right now to raise money for Tamara Johnson-Shealy to run again in 2022 to prayerfully unseat Warnock, who does not have reparations on his platform. And understand that our votes are our hottest commodity. So I'll be going in full court press on these shows to push all of it, because now is the time to start raising that money to run those candidates to replace the lanes. We don't wait until we're in the election cycle. We do that planning right now and show up 90% to the polls during the midterms to get our people, our full-chested reparationists elected. Okay, that's what we need to do, to send a strong message to Biden-Harris that it is not okay for you to weaponize immigration against us to replace the vote and make us third class in the country our ancestors built with their lives while doing nothing significant to close the over $100 trillion egregious racial wealth gap. That's not how any of that's going to work. So with that being said, family, let me pray you out that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever American descendants of chattel slavery and its allies are, God truly is, because, family, you are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Until Sunday, family, you make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening and Saturday. And you go out in this world and show them who you are, a proud American descendant of chattel slavery. Know that I love you black. I love you strong. Mwah. Good night, family. Peace.